Welcome to House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me as always is Gilbert Manzano, who does it for Sports Illustrated MMQB. Gilbert, big matchup here, a revenge game for the Rams as they travel up to Santa Clara to take on the San Francisco 49ers here, a divisional matchup. How are you feeling in terms of what we could see from the Rams in after what playing them on a short week the first time around, and now having a full week to get prepared for this matchup?
Yeah, I've been excited for the rematch here, Rams versus 49ers part 2, and I think I said after that ugly loss on Thursday Night Football at home to the 49ers, like, "Hey, all right, I don't care what this team does for the next month or so until they play the big boys again, and I can't really get a good sense on this team. Are you gonna be a legit Super Bowl contender? Are you gonna be the real deal?" And to their credit, they handled business against, Lamar Jackson-less Ravens. They beat up on the Jaguars. They beat up to the Saints. Boom, that's perfect. You did your job. Now the big test is coming up. Are you better than what you showed in that first matchup? And honestly, let's be real. The Rams probably could have won that game by double digits. That's the positive side. They were sleepwalking in the first half. They woke up and then they made terrible errors at the end. The Kyron Williams fumble at the goal line. I'm trying to refresh my memory at this game here. This game was chaotic. I think it went into overtime. The kicker game was a problem. There's a new kicker in town, thicker kicker. We'll get into that one too. But I just been ready for this matchup. I know the Rams have looked fantastic in the past month, but I don't care what they did against the New Orleans Saints from all teams here. Now I'm gonna get a real look at what the Rams are all about. I'm excited for this, and I don't care that I've been negative on this team because when you have one NFC victory this year, and I'll tell you this, the NFC has been whooping on the AFC,
Yep.
uh, you know, this year, and the Rams are a part of that. But when you only have one NFC victory against the Saints from all teams, that shows me nothing. But now, 49ers, Seahawks, Buccaneers, bring them on. I cannot wait for all these games, and starting with the 49ers just feels about right.
Yeah, especially when you go divisional with division games, you have all your division games in the back end of the season. This is why you do it, is to be able to kind of show that, hey, you kind of been going through the preseason. You got your bye week already, and now you're ready to get in gear as you match up against your divisional opponents. Five out of those, is it five or is it 3 out of 4? Is it 3 out of 4? I forget.
Division
Either
opponents?
Yeah, they got 2 against the Seahawks, 2
Yeah.
against the Cardinals, and 1 remaining now with this one. So it's 4 out of the 5 now in the back end of your schedule. So, this will tell us a lot about the Rams, but we have a lot to get into in terms of this matchup, Gilbert. We have the latest news and notes plus storylines for both teams going into this matchup. Lastly, we'll do our game predictions, but before we get to our game preview, Gilbert, what is our engagement question for our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, let me know the keys to a Rams victory in this rematch with the 49ers. Maybe it's everything that I mentioned. Don't do that again. Don't have a slow start in the first half. Don't fall behind by 10 points in the first quarter. I forget. Don't let Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne light you up. Don't have drops. Don't have fumbles. Everything that they did in the first game, maybe don't do that. But hey, maybe you have better keys to the game than I do here. But the Rams have been clicking offensively. Matthew Stafford looks like an MVP candidate. Puka Nakua should be back for this game. Sean McVay did not sound concerned about the injury. So maybe it's, having an offense light up this banged up, bad, defense for the 49ers. They can't apply pressure. I think even their rookie edge rusher, Michael Williams, got injured. So
He's out.
yeah, so there is no excuses. You could light up this team here. So maybe that's a key to a victory. Maybe the defense has to shut down, the running game and Christian McCaffrey. Maybe Jared Verse needs to make up for what he did or what he did not do in the first matchup with Trent Williams. I think and I like watching this matchup because I was there at SoFi Stadium. Every time I saw Jared Verse and Trent Williams got the best of him. Maybe you need to unlock Verse, who hasn't had the dominant second year that I thought he was going to have. But hey, maybe it changes that in this game.
Yeah, I feel like the player who's had that season that you were expecting has been Byron Young,
Hmm.
and You got a tough penalty there. You should have had a sack there. I mean, he I mean, that was a great pass rush there where he should have gotten the sack. Instead, he got the roughing the passer penalty. But yes, there's a lot to get into with this matchup, and we'll get more into some of the keys later on. But yeah, let us know if you're in the comments, like, subscribe, tell people, hey, these guys are talking Rams. And now as we get ready for the next 3 weeks, we want to hear from you guys. Give us your game predictions, your keys, what the score's going to be. Get involved with us here. We like seeing your comments, and we'll share them on here as well. But Gilbert, while we wait for the our viewers to chime in with some comments here, let's get to the Rams news and notes plus injury report. Let's start off with Puka Nakua, as you mentioned. Puka Nakua had a rib imaging, came back clean. Sean McVay says that he'll be limited in practice. He was limited in practice today, I should say, and should be good to go against San Francisco. Gilbert.
Yeah, no, that's great news. I remember in the first meeting, such that was such a good game too. It was not a good ending for the Rams, but there was a lot of back and forth. And I remember Puka Nakua, just the attention he commanded from the 49ers defense. And the 49ers don't have a lot of good players anymore. I think Nick Bosa and Fred Warner were still around in week 5. I could be wrong on Nick Bosa. I forgot already. But Fred Warner for sure was there, and he had a great
Yep.
game, I remember. But all the attention that Puka Nakua commands from Robert Sala is going to benefit the other guys. It's going to benefit Devontae Adams. It's going to benefit guys like Jordan Winnington. The tight ends are getting involved now. Ferguson, Higbee, Parkinson. So when he's commanding that much attention, it's going to open it up so much for Matthew Stafford. And now we know that Sean McVay is willing to open it up for other people. He's willing to design plays for the other guys. Stafford is willing to look that way. That's only going to make him more dangerous. So I think I think that was the first game where I saw glimpses of, okay, Stafford's willing to go to other guys. I think he's seeing the benefits of the matchups that are being in place because of the focus and Puka Nakua. So him being on the field is going to make them so much better.
Yeah, and kind of going off of that too, Gilbert. It might you never want to see your best player get injured, but it might have been a blessing, kind of seeing Stafford be able to spread the ball around. We've seen it 2 games ago. He spread the ball to 10 different receivers. Last game now with Puka back, 7 different receivers, and so it looks like they're running more 13 personnel now, even with Puka being back. So something to kind of keep an eye on here in this game is how they use Puka, as you mentioned, and whether or not they continue to spread the ball around, especially as they attack this 49ers defense that since Nick Bosa went down and since Fred Warner went down for the rest of the season, they have one of the worst pressure rates in all of football. So at least offensively, they should be able to take advantage of it in this game.
Yeah, no, definitely. This has been a pretty, well operated offense because of Matthew Stafford. I can't say high powered because they don't really light it up with points, but I think the way Stafford's been playing, again, like an MVP, it just makes him that much dangerous. It's been a little more balanced. They got more playmakers, and you got a coach willing to try new things, and that's not really been a thing for McVay. The second he found something with the 11 personnel, he just kept going to it. I get it, and I'm not saying that he didn't, make tweaks. I remember after the 2022 season when everything fell apart, he made changes to a scheme in 23, but that was more of a rushing scheme. The passing game, for the most part, has been what he created from the get go. And I think now where he's evolving again has been pretty fun to watch. And it's like, oh, here we go, finally 13 personnel. And they drafted Ferguson for a reason. And I've been critical of that pick because they did lose a first round pick. You could have had an impact player in the first round, or you've gotten your quarterback of the future, and instead they fell to the second round. And where's Terrence Ferguson? Where's Ferguson? You can't have a guy be in the minor leagues when you're all in to win the Super Bowl. And now he's being unlocked, he's being unleashed. I was critical because they also passed on a guy like Arroyo who's doing well with the Seahawks. I know Arroyo is the number 2 behind AJ Barner in Seattle, but he's making plays. But now so is Ferguson. So, I'm going to keep making that comparison because that's the way the draft fell. But he couldn't be a sideline player. He needed to be a guy making plays on the field. and they're using them. Higby's being used, Parkinson's being used. These are things I think a lot of Rams fans have been waiting for, and he's finally doing it, Sean McVay.
Yeah, and and it helps when you have the talent there, and that where you have guys like Davis Allen and other guys there where you can wait for him to kind of be ready. And we've seen it with McVay. I guess it takes some of these young players. We've seen Jarquez, uh, the running back they drafted out of Auburn. He hasn't even seen the field this season.
Yeah.
He's been inactive for most of these games, and it just takes a while for the young guys. But it's good to see him finally have Terrence Ferguson out there. All right, Gilbert. Let me continue on here with news and notes. Uh, I guess the Rams and Sean McVay were true to their word when it came to the kicking game, because they said, you know what, we're not kicking the can down the road. We're gonna take care of it now. And the first move we saw this week was the Rams sign long snapper Jake McQuaid to the practice squad. The team announced McQuaid played for the Rams from 2011 to 2020. He spent in those 10 years, he was twice named to the Pro Bowl while with the franchise. Um, McVay did say today that they expect him to be the long snapper against the 49ers. So that's one move. Do you want to comment on that? Or do you want me to continue on with the rest of what's happened with the changes
Yeah, I don't care
that
about the long snapper. I care about the kicker. I
okay,
mean,
here we
the
go.
kicker. To
Right.
Brett's comment, I like that name. Yeah.
Right. And so to set up what Brett Gardner is saying here, saw that Thicker was signed to the practice squad. And I don't I don't think that he just got signed to the practice squad, Gilbert. It feels like he's going to be the kicker against the 49ers. But let me get to before I get to that,
Yeah.
the Rams signed kicker Harrison Mavis to the practice squad. The team announced. Also, running back Ronnie Rivers was signed to the roster now, so he's right,
Ronnie Rivers, he's back,
right. He's
and real
back.
quick, Victor, I think it was during the NFL trade deadline where like Sauce is getting traded, Quinn and Williams getting traded. Then I saw the Rams beat reporters. Oh, they picked up a long snapper. I'm like, who gives a shit right now? like they're making these crazy trades here, and we're tweeting out long snapper news. I get it. The
Yeah,
Rams beats has to do it. It's what their job entails. But I
right.
thought it was funny. I'm like, what? Like, okay,
Yeah,
I'll worry about this one, and I forgot until you brought it up. So I remember thinking like, I don't care right now.
yeah. But this is big news when it comes to Gilbert. I was in the comments looking at the comments for all these transactions and all of these when you said like Gary Klein, Adams Groves, every B reporter, if you look at their comments when it came to all this stuff, they all want Chase Blackburn fired. They're all
Wow.
blaming him for this. So um, he, and it's funny because McVay was asked about this and about the special teams coordinator, and they feel like it's more of they feel that as a team they've done everything they could to fix things, and so now the next thing was for them to bring in a new long snapper, someone that's been with the team before, and now they brought in a kicker to give um Josh Carty some competition. And to McVay, he said Josh Carty and Harrison Mevis will compete for the Rams kicking job this week, and expect Jake McQuaid to be the long snapper against the 49ers. Now, some information here in terms of the thicker kicker. He will wear number 92, which is what he wore in college where he went to Missouri. So if you're a St. Louis Rams fan and you're still following this Rams team,
Ah.
you know about Thicker the kicker.
Yeah,
He
Brett.
had,
I just saw Brett Garner said he's from Missouri. I had no idea. So
yeah, he's from
well
Missouri.
aware of
Yeah.
Mavis here or Thicker.
Yeah, he says to Brett Gardner's comment here, says, I'm from Missouri, so when I saw that they signed Mavis, I was surprised. Haven't heard his name. He almost single-handedly beat the Georgia Bulldogs a few years ago. And again, thank you for kind of letting me into what we're going to talk about here with the thicker kicker, or as some people call him, I think Mavis or something.
Hmm.
So he's got some names here from college. He has yet to kick in the NFL, Gilbert. He went 20 of 21 for the Birmingham Stallions in the UFL last season. He has been on the Jets practice squad. He came out of Missouri, as I said. He's listed as 5'11, 243 pounds. So he's a big boy. That's why he got the nickname, the thicker kicker. And to Brett Gardner's comment, he set the SEC record for longest field goal, a 61 yarder, and he
Wow.
kicked 12 field goals of at least 50 yards while he was at Missouri. So, and then one more point I wanted to make, Gilbert, we've seen UFL, USFL, kickers do well coming, and it's been a great path for kickers to be able to kind of use it as a minor league to be able to get to the NFL. We've seen it with Jake Bates with the Lions. We saw it with Aubrey from the Cowboys, and now maybe the Rams, if they decide to sign him to the active roster, they might have found something here as well. And I'm okay with the fact that they brought in competition, and now they're trying to fix one of their biggest weaknesses. So I give McVay and the rest of that coaching staff and front office credit for at least trying to fix the problem, Gilbert.
Yeah, I know I was saying that, we're not really sure if Cardi is a problem because there's no protection and the special team is not executing. But it's gotten so bad that I think it's gonna be a mental thing for Cardi, and he's gonna try to change how he kicks. So, McVay just getting tired of it. This is not a surprising move. I'm with it. If the kicker is being phased by the poor operation, then get somebody who won't get phased by it. And then obviously you got to fix everything. You got to make life easier for your kicker. So yeah, I think having competition is good. Say Cardi has another crappy game. I'll be actually surprised if Thicker gets promoted, to the active squad this week. But you never know because the special team has been that horrendous. So maybe I shouldn't say surprising, but regardless, if he doesn't get called up, now if Cardi struggles again, if the whole unit struggles again, then you say F it. I'm going with the thicker here and not losing sleep anymore. Because sometimes coaches don't have that much patience for kickers, you know and I remember in week 5, it really affected the way McVay called the game down the stretch. He's like, I can't settle for a field goal. I can't rely on the kicker. I can't rely on the special teams unit. And I remember at the time I said it's not the kicker's fault, but nothing changed from that point on. So I get the frustration here. So you had to bring in competition. You got to prepare yourself for a plan B. And it's gotten so bad that maybe plan B is going to become plan A come kickoff. But I think they might wait a week here. But maybe you have a better sense here.
The way I heard the comments, Gilbert, and the fact that like I said, if you go to every beat reporter's comment section there with the replies, you could tell that it's the fan base has had it with not only Chase Blackburn, but also they're ready to make a change. And you don't say the things that the way that McVay sounded, he sounded very frustrated, and he was he made the point to say, hey, we're gonna fix it within. We don't think it's the coaching staff. We think that it's a problem with technique. And so, like you said, it sucks that Josh Carty is probably gonna have to pay with it, which I mean, and also think about this, Gilbert. Josh Carty went to Stanford. This would have been a homecoming for him to be able to go kick in Santa Clara. And now he might not get a chance to, just because, it's just been you cannot fix your kicking game and expect to be a Super Bowl contender. And we've seen McVay, when it's not something that he has control over, he's gonna make sure that that gets taken care of. Because if it was the offense, that it would be about him. This has to do with special teams. It has to do with the coaching staff. It has to do with the players that are lining up. And so for him, he's just not going to be patient when it comes to special teams.
Yeah, and to answer Burger's question. The B show is coming after us, so yeah, stick around. But stay watching here. What's up, Bolts will be coming on, which is it's kind of cool to think we have like a network. We do have a network, but I like that we have a schedule. We have two shows in one day. That's pretty cool. I appreciate you guys being on. Michael, what's up to you? I see the commenter from Michael Armenta. Shout out, and then you know, look at it from this point of view. The 49ers got fed up with Jake Mooney, who I think they used a third round pick. Yeah, it was pretty
Yep.
high. It was a day 2 pick. And they said, all right, get out of here, be gone. And they got Eddie Pinheiro, and they haven't looked back ever since. So I think, when you look at it from that point of view, maybe they do it too. I would like to see Thicker out there for a big time game, 49ers and the Rams, but um, I just don't know how convinced that Sean McVay thinks it's a Cardi problem. It's a whole operation problem. But yeah, I get the fans' frustration, and when it's not a one person problem, it's a whole unit. You're going to point the finger at the special teams coordinator.
Yeah, and somebody has to pay the price. And unfortunately, I would not be surprised if it's Josh Carty this week. And like you said, like one of the things of watching the 49ers and their kicking problems with Jake Moody, you could tell Kyle Shanahan just was tired of it. And the same thing, you could see the same expressions from McVay. These are guys that they're not only the head coach, but they're the ones calling plays, and they don't have time to be dealing with special teams, Gilbert. And so they expect the coaching staff to take care of it, or else once it becomes a McVay or a Shanahan problem, they're like, okay, I'm taking care of this, Gilbert, and they're gonna be like, I'm moving on. I'm not giving Cardi or Jake Moody any more time.
Yeah, So again, I will not be surprised. I still think they might have to. They might be waiting a week here, but it's all about what the kicker's doing in practice. If Mavis is doing well or thicker, and he's drilling these 60 yarders, like that's pretty much all it takes in the NFL. Is like you better have some good accuracy and a good leg range. And we just saw Cam Little nail that 68 yarder. I know Brandon Aubrey didn't get his 68 yarder. He didn't have accuracy on that one, but he had a lot of leg. So if Mavis has a good leg strength, that's half the battle right there. And he was able to be a little accurate, then throw him in there.
Yeah, and a lot of these UFL kickers, like it seems like they're all like long distance kickers. Like they even Jake Bates, that
Yeah,
was
we're
another
seeing
guy.
the
He
trend
was
in the
like,
NFL. Teams are taking chances on guys with big legs.
yep,
Obviously that's only half the battle, but they're taking a chance.
yep. All right, Gilbert, let's get to Rams 49ers storylines here for week 10. And we'll start off with the 49ers. I'll say this in terms of them where they're at right now with all the injuries. You gotta give a shout out to Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, and the job he's done this season. And then bringing in Robert Sala, I thought was a great hire. They've been really, really good in terms of, being able to, I guess, play well with a lot of their main guys out. What has impressed you the most about what they've done through the first half of the season? Because they've been able to just win games with not a lot of personnel. You have Christian McCaffrey, Mac Jones, and then a bunch of dudes, receivers that have been hurt. So, what's been your impression of this team? I know you call them survivors. I
Yeah.
believe that's what you said they're called.
Yeah, I think that's still the number one thing. They're just surviving, and they just get hit after hit after hit of injuries to the point where now their only good edge rusher and a rookie, Michael Williams, getting hurt. Like it just never ends for this team. But I'm not gonna count them out. Again, I get that the ceiling is low. Nobody's taking a chance on them to win the Super Bowl because of the injuries. Nobody's talking about them, even though they're beating the Rams, they're beating the Seahawks. I get it. They have a low ceiling, but a high floor, and they're survivors. They're well coached, and I think their depth is really showing. Like, let's not forget, 2 years ago, this was probably maybe the best roster in football, maybe behind the Chiefs, one A and one B. Uh, and it's showing. Yeah, they're older now, but they're still good star players. Christian McCaffrey is still balling. You don't find guys like McCaffrey, Kittle, and Williams on everybody's offense. That's rare. And imagine we get the Pearsall, Ayuk, and Juwan Jones, I think, came back already, and their quarterback Brock Purdy. Like this is a lot of star power offensive. Defensively, I get it. They're young. they pretty much gutted the defense to pay the tab on the salary cap, but they still had two legit elite playmakers and Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. They lost them too. That's the crappy part. And and put it this way, to summarize, like where everybody thinks this team is headed for the crapper because of injuries. Yeah, they couldn't hang against a tough defense in Houston. I get it that they got exposed there. You couldn't just have Christian McCaffrey uh, against a very good defense. I understand that. But when they go to New York and they just beat the crap out of that team, it shows that they're not going to be a crappy team. They're always going to be at least a mediocre team, even with the injuries. And I think that says a lot. Like even if you're going to be a 10-win team with all the injuries, it says a whole lot. Now I'm starting to think if they're at full strength, they could have been legit Super Bowl contenders. So credit to the Korean survivors. Credit to the coaching staff for coaching their butt off. They had the kicking problems. They nipped it in the butt right away, and they got a new one in Pinheiro. They're doing everything right besides the bad injury luck here. It's a crappy hand. I saw it in the summer, and I thought I didn't think it's gonna be this bad, and I thought, okay, 49ers won't be able to survive this. They proved me wrong. They're gonna get double-digit wins. They're taking advantage of their soft schedule. But again, it's just you know, are they gonna be able to do something in the playoffs? But then you have week 5 where they beat the Rams, a talented team, but a bunch of nobodies. And so I can't count out this team. I know we're all looking at the injuries. I'm ignoring them a little bit compared to the other people or the other pundits. I think people put too much stock into it. But divisional rivals or division games are tend to stay close. So to me, I think the 49ers are going to be prideful. They're at home. That crowd's going to be lively. It's not a primetime game, but I think it's still going to be a good game. But I'm just impressed with the coaching they're doing, and to just whoop and annihilate a team like the Giants to show there are levels to this. When maybe your team's on the level of the Giants in terms of injuries, they said no, we're still better than you guys. That was impressive.
Yeah, and for me, I think this is the best coaching job Kyle Shanahan has done. I mean, you look at he's had the talent and he's been able to coach them up, but the fact that he's taken this team here who's continues to suffer injuries and what they did, especially the way he coached that game against the Rams in on a short week, he took advantage of it. He did short passes, like I said, and we'll get into the keys to this matchup soon here. But his coaching this year, he's taking it up a notch, and I think that's part of the reason they've been able to, be good this season. And I think that's been, I get it. People say, well, he still hasn't won the big game. He continues to blow leads in the Super Bowl, and that's all true. But in terms of what he's done this season, it's probably his best coaching job. And that's why I don't take them lightly going up in this matchup. I get it. They're 4.5 point underdogs in this matchup at home, but I just look at the coaching they've done with him and Robert Sala. Getting Robert Sala, I thought, was one of the best hires outside of Lou Adarumo with the Colts. I thought those were like two of the best coaching hires I saw during the offseason, and they're showing why. And Robert Sala, man, like we know what he can do with the defense. We've seen the Jets go from having one of the best defenses to one of the worst since he's been gone. So that just tells you that he knows how to coach up defenses too.
Yeah, just to answer a couple of these questions, Michael Armenta saying, are the Rams going to see Purdy or Mac Jones? Purdy started the week limited, so it doesn't seem like he's on track to play, and it sounded like that's an injury they don't want to mess around with. So it might be Mac Jones again. Say if it is Purdy, he's going to be rusty. Maybe that could benefit the Rams here. And then ESG said the Rams took them lightly the first time. They won't do it again. And I'll say this: if this game is high scoring, good offense like we saw in the first matchup, that's where I think the 49ers could be dangerous. I think being at home, they gave them confidence. They started with a 10-point lead right away. Mac Jones was feeling himself. Kendrick Bourne was feeling himself. But this is going to be on the defense. And the defense has been doing well. They haven't become a top 5 unit. I know they have their issues in the secondary. But what I saw in that Houston 49er game told me their injuries were exposed in Houston because that was a great game plan from D'Amico Ryans. They did not give any life to Mac Jones. They said, you're not going to mess around with us. We're going to put you in your place. And they destroyed them. They were playing catch up all game. They were 2 steps ahead. So it is a game where you want to flex your muscles defense, put it on them. And I know I saw Jared Verse. He was frustrated against Trent Williams. You cannot have a performance like that again. And if it happens, Byron Young step up. Nate Landman make a play. Secondary, show out. You can't get lit up by Kendrick Bourne again. Maybe they're healthier. They have Kittle this time. But I think if the defense sets a tone early, it could be a blowout game that we expected in the first time around. So it's all on the defense, because I think that Houston game really showed me a lot about the limitations of the 49ers.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And because these two teams know each other really well, we've seen the matchups how they've been one possession games. For the past since these two coaches have gone up against each other. That's why I said when we did the preview for that first matchup, I expect this game to be a one possession game because that's what we get from this team. It doesn't matter if the other team has more talent than the other one. These coaches are going to coach their teams up because they want to beat each other up. And I think a big key for the 49ers has been the fact that last year when the Rams went 2-0, they didn't have Christian McCaffrey. This year they had him in that first game, and he kind of tore them apart there with that defense. So I want to see what Shula does in terms of preparing for this matchup because he got exposed in that matchup with Kyle Shanahan, and so I want to see what he does, where he puts Nate Landman, because between him and Troy Reader, they couldn't stay with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield there trying to cover him. I'd like to see a safety on there, either uh, uh, Quinn Lake down there, or even Cam Curl having turns trying to cover uh, McCaffrey, because you shouldn't put Nate Landman, or any other linebacker that you have out there. You want them stopping the run. You don't want them getting exposed in coverage there. So for me, I think that's going to be a big storyline. Is like you said, that the defense for the Rams needs to step up in this game because the Rams offense, we know what they've been, and they're starting to look like one of the best offenses out there. And I know they've done it against the Saints and the Jaguars and the beat up Ravens team. But now, you have another team that's beat up here in the 49ers. Continue to do what you've been doing, Gilbert.
Yeah, that Saints victory is such an afterthought game. They handle business, but I don't even know if he played, but maybe Roger McCurry, did he make his debut for the
I
Rams?
I honestly don't even remember seeing him, if I'm being completely honest.
Yes, maybe he
The
did
the
not
two
play.
players that stood out in that game for me defensively were Byron Young and Nate Landman. Nate Landman made that peanut punch, and then of course Emmanuel Forbes got his first interception as a Ram.
Oh, look
But
at that.
outside of that, I mean, there wasn't. I The offense just took control of that game, which was great to see because it's what we've been seeing, and then
Yeah.
also the red zone. It just feels like that red zone now. It looks like it's been fixed, but we'll see now, especially against Robert Sala in this defense.
Yeah, I apologize for not tracking that one, but if somebody knows in the comments, let me know. But yeah, that might have been a kind of a tough ask for McCrary to play right away. But if he plays this week, I want to see what he could do for the secondary. And we're going to obviously notice because there's more weapons on the field for the 49ers. It's going to be a game where you need the whole secondary to step up. So again, I've been waiting for this big time matchup because I don't care what they do against the Saints. I don't care what they do against Cooper Rush and the Ravens. I don't care what they do. And Jacksonville, I guess Jacksonville was pretty impressive. That was a good defensive performance where they smothered Trevor Lawrence early. But he's kind of always been an up and down quarterback, kind of a Jekyll and Hyde QB where you never know what you're going to get. But I just want to see what they're really made of. And honestly, I don't think the Rams are going to overlook them because of what happened the first time around. But you got that Seattle game also in the back of your mind at home. You got the Buccaneers the week after that, so it's a lot of high intensity football. And I think for the schedule, the sweet spot for big time games is from week 10 to week 15. I think it's gonna be a bunch of games. I think people say it's usually Thanksgiving. I think that's a little too late. I think November football after the midway point, it's gonna be a lot of good games, and I think this could be one of them. But yeah, I want to see if the secondary steps up. I want to see if the pass rush comes alive here because it's shootouts are fun, but I think this is a defense that's capable of just shutting it down right away on this 49ers defense or offense that is very depleted. It's easier said than done when you have Trent Williams and CMC on that side of the ball. But I think this defense could definitely make a statement here, and that's going to be definitely one thing to watch for me. Let's see how good are you defensively.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Gilbert, in terms of a key here with the defense, what was our biggest criticism of that game in the first matchup? It was the fact that they weren't able to put pressure on Mac Jones. They didn't get their first sack till like the fourth quarter. It was a half sack by Byron Young and Kobe
Yeah,
Turner. And so and part of it was because the 49ers came in with a great game plan. They did a lot of crossers, short crossers. They got Mac Jones to get rid of the ball quick, which is what part of the reason why Shanahan really wanted to draft Mac Jones coming out of college was because he gets rid of the ball right away. And so that's going to be a challenge for this defense is how do you, like I said, I would want to see how many more safeties we see in this game. If we just see Nate Landman out there as a lone linebacker and you just play a bunch of dime against this team, I think that's the way to go, Gilbert, especially because you do not want to get killed by Christian McCaffrey again, and you need to have a better game plan for those short passes.
yeah, I think that's one of the beauties of the Kyle Shanahan scheme, where people want to call it, QB proof, because he designs these plays where the first and second read are just so noticeable and they're so beneficial. Like, yeah, even if you get a kind of like a quick dump off the CMC, they're gonna get yards. This is a scheme designed and built with playmakers on yards after the catch, and that's why they're getting able to get the ball out quickly. We saw it all the time with Jimmy G. I remember those games that I covered in 22 were like, how the hell is Jimmy G doing this against Aaron Donald? Like, what the hell? How are you releasing the ball? And the frustration that came out of that defense because Jimmy G
Yeah.
releases the ball so quickly. Purdy has picked
Uh,
that up, and now Mac Jones is doing the same thing. So I think that scheme is always going to neutralize your pass rush, and that's the funny part. That's what they're built on. The Rams, they have pass rushers, but what's the point when you can't get to the guy in 2 seconds? So that may be something where Nate Landman comes in, where those little dump offs, those quick throws, you make some plays sideline to sideline, get game changing plays where you have that peanut punch. Maybe that comes into play, but you're right, Vic. It's not easy to defend that.
yeah, and then I think, and I want to share this comment here by Michael Armenta. He says Ramsey gave Jones a beatdown last time, but he still carved up that secondary, and I think part of it too was those short passes that you just talked about. And then offensively, Gilbert, in terms of a key here, it's starting to look like that connection between Matthew Stafford and Devontae Adams has finally hit, especially down in the red zone. Um, that's been and then continue to use that 13 personnel, man. Like those three tight ends, especially against this defense that's beat up. Use that 13 personnel. We saw 4 touchdowns come out of that personnel against the Saints. It's been good to you. Continue to use it and kind of like play off of it. Um, use it as maybe to confuse the defense by Robert Sala, where it looks like you might throw out of it, you can run out of it. That's the beauty of it. I've seen a lot of teams like the Seahawks right now where they run either 12 or 13 personnel, and they've actually been throwing and a lot of people think that they're running out of it, but they throw out of it. And Sam Darnold has taken advantage of it. So something like that. Now we're seeing Matthew Stafford take advantage of it. So continue to use that 13 personnel going forward.
Yeah, and you brought up Devontae Adams, and this is a game where you don't want to mess around and you want to just take some shots early and just hit the end zone. Like, they don't have any pressure, they don't have pass rushers. You could afford a couple dropbacks here early on from Stafford and go hit Devontae Adams, who still has a sizable catch radius, could still get 50-50 balls, could still get open downfield. Obviously, you could do some damage to Puka Nakua down the field as well. So yeah, but if you don't want to be kind of just one trick pony. Take advantage of the 13 personnel, but you're going to have so many options. They don't bring pressure. They don't have a good front. They got some players in the secondary, but they've struggled as well too. When you can't bring pressure, you're being asked to cover more, and that's that's a big ask for this 49er secondary. So to me, set the tone early. Same thing with defense. You know, you don't want to just rely on the defense and take some shots. And again, just don't do what you did the first half of the last game when you're a zombie walking and like, oh, we got a game, here we go. And then
Yep.
you bit yourself in the ass there because you couldn't protect the football at the end. So uh, yeah, this is a defense that's just reeling right now. So go ahead and make their life miserable.
And then one more point here too, ASG says that their 13 personnel works so good in the red zone. I think part of it too, Gilbert, is that Robert Sala, because he doesn't have that pressure, he's gonna send multiple guys here. You're gonna see corners, you're gonna see linebackers blitzing in this game. So running that 13 personnel can help you there with the blocking to have more protection as well, and then attack it by going down the field, as you mentioned with Devontae Adams. All right, Gilbert, the Rams are 4.5 point favorites here. As we talked about, the over under here is 49 and a half. What's the right side of this line here?
Yeah. First, I'm gonna go under. I don't think it's gonna be as high scoring as the first game. I really believe that defense could set the tone. But it's hard for me to say the Rams are going to win by more than 4.5 points because it's a divisional battle. I've seen the 49ers, frustrate this team time and time again. So, maybe it's one of these games where it's like, maybe the first team to 20 wins here. So I definitely see, I think the defense is going to step up, but I just don't think the Rams are going to be able to cover that big line. I wouldn't be surprised though, because they are the better team here. But again, divisional matchups are just so tricky, and we've seen how these two coaches play chess, and usually it comes down to the wire.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's probably going to be a 3 point game. We've seen these two coaches. I think it was like 8 out of the last 10 or something have been one possession games between these two teams. So I just expect the same thing. Like you mentioned, they play chess against each other, and so it's just who has the best move at the end there. And so I'm with you, but I do like the over here, Gilbert. I just feel like both of these offenses are going to be able to move the ball against each other. We saw it in the first matchup. I don't see how that changes just because I've seen it from both of these coaches, and so it's going to come down to who has the ball last, and I just feel like it'll probably be the Rams because they really need to avenge this game. Let me get one more comment in here before we get to our game predictions. Guys, give us your game predictions. How do you see this game going? And then yeah, give us the score of this game. Happy Gilmore says we lost that last time. We were the favorite to win. They better not take them lightly again. So there you go, Gilbert. The Rams are 6-2 against the spread this season, Gilbert. So that's another thing to kind of keep in mind. They've been a team for the public. So make sure you check out our betting show. We kind of went into it a little bit more in terms of the betting angle here. So make sure you go into that. All right, Gilbert, what's your prediction here? Rams 49ers.
Yeah, the Rams have been covering, but they did not cover against the 49ers. That was 6.5, and they lost. But I think the Rams get it done here. I think it's going to be a close game. I think they're going to rebound here. And again, it's hard. It's really concerning. I'm not gonna try to make a big deal out of it, but I know it's concerning at least where you 5 of your 6 wins are in the AFC, and the one NFC game is the Saints. So go and shut me up and show that you're going to be a good team here. So Rams win 23-20, close game. I'll take the under. Rams get their first signature victory. Or in the NFC, they beat the Colts. That's a good victory. But in the NFC, this will be their signature victory for the season. Rams win in part two.
Yeah, I think we're on the same length here, the same wavelength. I like the Rams here, 28-25. I like the over, as I said, for that reason. It's just these teams just play each other tough. They're usually close. So and the comments show that everybody's here is lockstep, even Ram fans. Happy Gilmore, 20-17 Rams. He's got the under here. Mike Armenta, 31-28, 3 point game. And then last comment here from the Worm. It says the Rams need a strong and decisive win. This will help build even more confidence within the team ranks. Another loss to the 49ers would be catastrophic for the psyche of the team. So
I
there
agree.
you go, Gilbert. And that just tells you everybody, what we're talking about, everybody's also on the same page. These teams just play each other close, and that's just the way they are. Just because these two coaches know each other really well, so I can't wait. I'm really excited for this matchup. It's the beginning of a gauntlet for the Rams that tells us where this team is at for the next 3 weeks. You got the 49ers, the Seahawks, and then the Buccaneers. So it's time to take care of business if you're the Rams, and I can't wait to that game on Sunday, 125. I think it's the Fox game of the week. So you'll have Tom Brady on the call there.
Okay. And the Rams still have to play like even a surprising team like the Panthers. They get the Lions, I think, in week 15. It's a tough schedule. It's a tough back second half of the schedule. The Worm is going with the Rams 35 over the 49ers 31. But yeah, it's gonna be a close game here. Tough schedule, the first of many. No more soft schedule against the AFC South and the AFC opponents. It's the big boy football in the NFC here, so let's see what they have. But it's time to get going. Ya nos vamos, pues.